Hello and welcome to Marketing Speak. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer, and today I'm very excited to have Aleyda Solis with us. Aleyda is an international SEO consultant and founder of Orienti, a highly specialized boutique SEO consultancy. She's a blogger, a speaker, author of a new book called Fruitful Consulting that's coming out very soon. She also offers actionable SEO tips in her weekly YouTube video series, Crawling Mondays, and her newsletter called #SEO FOMO. Aleyda has been awarded as the European Search Personality of the Year in 2018, and she is also co-founder of Remoters.net, a remote work hub. Aleyda, it's so great to have you on the show.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. It's always a pleasure to be able to speak with you and have a nice conversation.
Yeah, likewise. And you were on this show, seems like yesterday, but it was actually 4 years ago. We talked mostly about international SEO, which is one of your specialties, but you're so much more adept than just being an international SEO expert. You're just an SEO expert, and in many different technical areas. So we're going to touch on some of these technical areas. We'll touch on how you've built up your consultancy to be an atypical type of agency that is fully remote and works with some really big brands. We'll talk about, some really cool stuff, I think. So why don't we start, first of all, with what seems to be the new hot thing in your world in terms of SEO?
Yes, it's funny because right now with clients, actually, they're all a little bit stressed with the new page performance metric with Core Web Vitals because of the announcement from Google that they are going to start taking that into consideration as a ranking factor starting May 2021, right? And it's funny because, and a little bit ironic, right? Because realistically, this is not new. All of these signals are already there, but they are not like integrated all together in a single thing, right? But it is funny that one of my biggest clients with whom I have like literally like going through some like interesting troubleshooting in the last few months to try to really fine tune everything regarding web performance. Is like yesterday that I had a conversation. It's like, oh my God, Core Web Vitals, and now we have like a hard deadline to make this finally happen. So it seems that on one hand I'm happy because at least I think that this sort of updates like end up like pushing the need, right, to implement what we already knew was important, was already in place or in the roadmap for many of the SEO processes. But also it's a little bit ironic how a single update or a single of retagging or renaming signals that were already there has made many like react like this, right? So is yeah, well, but yes, but I think that realistically this is the one big thing that is happening right now with clients. I have also a couple of other processes happening right now with very big platforms that are relying in dynamic serving or even independent mobile websites. And this is very funny, right? Like many of the bigger brands and those platforms that became mobile friendly first many years ago, they were not responsive, right? And these are platforms that are huge, and it was not trivial for them to just start implementing a responsive web design, and they had a lot of so many web services, so they were like dynamic serving their mobile web versions in all the cases still independent mobile websites. And funnily enough, and like a lot of people assume that all the web is already mobile and it's mobile first, etc. And a few of the biggest brands in the world are still using well, they are not yet in mobile first index. This is the thing, because Google hasn't moved them because they see that they are not yet prepared, right? So I am actually working with a couple of very big clients on making sure that they achieve parity between mobile and desktop, because yes, their HTML and their whole experience and on mobile is not the same. They are not using responsive web design yet. To make sure that on March they are as ready as possible. And in some cases, it's easier said than done, right? If you're using a WordPress website and you have a few hundred thousands pages, that's not an issue. But when you're working with a website that has hundreds of millions of URLs that and does some higher, bigger restrictions in the platforms and architecture, yeah, it requires a little bit of more fine tuning and troubleshooting, right? So that's fun. So these are the two biggest things I think at this point. Then of course, like I'm working with a few clients on the Q on next year. Sort of projections and plans and goals regarding SEOs. In a few cases, this year has been quite chaotic, right? Even for good in some cases and for bad in others, because of Corona, right? So it is going to be fun and hopefully a little bit more, let's say, less crazy than this year. Easier to forecast. Let's see.
So, first of all, with regards to Core Web Vitals, I saw that you created a Google sheet that listed some different resources that relate to page speed performance. And do you want to say something more about that?
Yes, indeed. So I saw that, well, most of us, we still rely a lot on the PageSpeed Insights tools from Google itself. But realistically, if and also we have Core Web Vitals data in Google Search Console, right? On the other hand, but there are so many tools nowadays, also leveraging Crux data, also many of the old schools web performance, web speed tools like, for example, it is web page speed is called, or GT metrics. They have already integrated Core Web Vitals within their functionality, and also many of the new tools starting to leverage the APIs that are available to provide this very interesting and useful functionality. So, for example, being able to do a crawl. List crawl or a crawl of all your website or your website versus your competitors, or also like validate Core Web Vitals or page speed related metrics in general of any of the players ranking for a certain query. So all of these functionalities, for me, they are super useful because, of course, when you want to be able to recommend what is really, really the most important area to focus on with your clients, and on those pages that are actually being heard, and those where you can actually show that your clients' pages are like left behind versus your competitors for those queries that matter, right? These tools can literally be game changer, right? And they are free in many cases, or premium in others, right? So that is why I collected them and shared them in this Google Sheet, because these were tools that were already being super useful for me when recommending with clients, save tons of times, and also allow me to develop recommendations that were much more actionable and focus on, look, this is what is really wrong and what is like delaying or hurting this and this metrics, and these pages are the actual ones that you really want to rank for these terms that are the most impactful from a traffic and conversion perspective, right?
Yeah. So we'll include the spreadsheet in the show notes for this episode, so our listener will be able to see that. It's quite useful. Great. And then another thing I wanted to circle back on that we had just talked about was the mobile first indexing, and how actually that's going to be really mobile only in a short time. So what is that? What are the implications of that for those who are not thinking in terms of mobile only? They're only thinking in terms of mobile first.
Yes, it's interesting that you mentioned this, and maybe like the name of it is not the best, because in my mind, when they indeed they made the announcement initially, mobile first for me is like, oh, they will be given preference. And they will be still in my mind, right, at that point, like crawling the web with the two crawlers. They will have two indexes, and the mobile one will be the first one. Okay, but never mind if, if at some point there's something that is not available to the mobile crawler, because it will still available to the desktop one. And somehow if it is not even the first, it will be there. But no, more and more after some months pass by, Google people started to clarify or give more specifications. And I think it was in the last PopCon, I think, in October, that John Mueller did this Q&A when he literally say it's mobile only, right? It's like, so there were quite a few people at that point who ended up realizing it's like, oh, if it doesn't exist on my mobile version, or is not available to the mobile crawlers, then it's not going to be taken into consideration at all for indexing or ranking purposes, right? So yes, it was nice to have that formal clarification at the end, right? On one hand. On the other hand, it's interesting for me because I also, funnily enough, or ironically enough, it's interesting because some group of my clients are in the marketplace and e-commerce, where the reliance on mobile traffic and users coming from mobile is huge, right? Let's say 70% or so, like a lot, right? But then on the other hand, I have this other group of clients that are from the SaaS sector. And these are this type of solution software that is very work-oriented or enterprise-oriented, in which literally it's the other way around. 60+ % of users and traffic and everything happens on desktop still. And it doesn't look that it's going to change, because the use cases and experience and of these services and products happen when you are working, and we still use laptops for that, right? So it's funny to see that on one hand, of course, we're moving to mobile only, and it makes sense for a lot of use cases. But I am also working with some of those other clients where they are like, okay, yes, mobile first, that's nice, or mobile only, that's nice, but we still see like 60+%, almost 70% of our traffic engagement, everything happen on desktop. So it's like, okay, let's see. Like realistically, I think that well, it's nice because on one hand, it pushes, I think, a lot of websites that were completely overlooking user experience, not even search experience, but user experience on the mobile devices. They were like completely like patching or using workarounds in order to provide supposedly a good, also, for example, speed. Oh, let's just not add structured data in the mobile HTML because well, it's not taken into consideration or is in desktop anyway, and I need to hack speed. So less code, it will load faster, things like that, right? So I think it pushes from the development work and also design work to be better aligned to the best practices that were already in many cases in place in desktop. And yes, like the pity here is that for a few of these SaaS players, or those players are still very reliant and focused on desktop realistically because of their own particular use case, is a little bit of effort that won't necessarily pay as much off for them. But yes, I think that is also important and necessary. And it's funny because literally my remote work website, I see this on my own website, and we are actually a hub. We have also a marketplace. We have a job board. But yes, most of the people search for jobs and remote work related stuff when they are on their laptops, indeed.
I didn't realize your remoters.net site had a job board. I've got some people I'm looking to hire, like an EA and a COO. So I'll
please do. And unlike other job boards, it is completely free. I want to commoditize that. Our goal in Remoter is to make it easier for anybody to start working remotely and start hiring remotely. So for both sides of the sector, those hiring, those looking for jobs. And we realized that, and that was, of course, like the easiest way to monetize. And you will see like 99% of your boards, remote ones, are paid. But since this is a side project that I have with my partner, Elisa, who's also an SEO, we don't need to monetize right away. We do very well with our own. Each of us have consultancies. So we were like, no, let's make it free to really be able to achieve that mission, to really facilitate to anybody to start working or hiring remotely. And then we also have this functionality to receive alerts. So, for example, if you are looking for a remote job, but you don't see anything like necessarily attractive at this point, you can subscribe to an alert to receive any job alerts of SEO jobs or marketing jobs or development jobs. And also, unlike other job boards that are only focused on design jobs or development jobs, these sort of things, like we have categories for everything from virtual assistants to human resources, accounting, marketing, project management, etc. Actually, it has been beautiful to see this year, especially like a boom. Like, for example, I remember like a year ago at that time, most of the jobs that were being hired were of the developers or digital marketers, etc. But you didn't see the typical like a role in human resources, right, or accounting, and you do see those type of roles nowadays. So you can see how it has evolved in the last year. It's like bittersweet because of COVID, right? But yes, at least that is something positive, I think, in general, that we have seen after this whole craziness.
Yeah, yeah. And you've been remote and had a remote team for a while now. Like I've had a completely remote team for a decade now, and prior to that, I had another agency, and it wasn't remote at all. I mean, I was remote for much of the time, but then I had dozens of staff in 3 different offices and 3 different countries. So it's very freeing to have a remote team and not have to worry about hiring people to come into an office, and then you're very limited with the expertise and just with the talent in the area, because nobody's going to travel for 3 hours a day to get to your office. Yeah,
100%. I think that a lot of us still haven't realized the implications of that, but it's so powerful, because by being able to work remotely and hiring remotely, you as a company, for example, of course, you eliminate the burden of having to rent or buy an office, and then you open up to a pool of potential people from all over the world on one hand. Then also it helps to diversify your team. You can hire literally people from all over the world, and then from the other side of things, also the people, for example, that they are not limited. You are not limited if you are not, for example, living in a developed country. For example, you can still be living in, I don't know, Southeast Asia or Africa or South America, and still develop your professional career at the fullest without having to move. A lot of people, unfortunately, this is one of the things that push them to leave their homes when they don't even want to do it, right? And then on the other hand, by being able to do that, also they bring money and much more economic development to their own communities. So this has so many different layers. Also for parents or families, if I know a lot of people that of course, when you are young, you are maybe like very excited to live in a big city, but after the time passes by, you really want to have a house with a proper garden, be more near the nature, for example, or you're just like really want to surf every day or go to the mountains every day. So like this is a lifestyle. It's a choice of lifestyle, realistically, and it allows you to also go back to some small towns that you bring money there, and you are able actually to have the lifestyle that you want. So it's really, it gives you freedom. For me, it's about that, and that is actually the slogan that we have in Remoter, is own your life, because it's about really having the control of how you want to live your life, just by this little but indeed so big at the same time decision, right? At being able to work remotely.
Yeah. And how big is your team, and where all are they located?
Well, in Orianty, well, these are 2 separate things, right? We are a boutique consultancy. We are 4 people, and for example, in Spain, France, and Mexico, and literally like we work with no more than 6 clients at a time, like because, and this is my unique selling proposition, right? It's not about working with so many clients at the same time, but being able to work with usually big brands or startups that have these high growth type of goals and need to scale fast and results, right? And usually these are companies that have whether their own digital marketing team or in-house SEOs. Like 80% of my clients right now have in-house SEOs, and what they look for is very specialized advice, and to be speaking to me the whole time rather than hiring a big agency and end up speaking with an account manager or junior people, right? Because they have these very specific issues, like for example, indeed, like mobile first index or improving core vitals or a migration, a rebranding, launch in a new market, or establishing presence in certain markets where they have a bigger type of competition after a while, like needing additional help, external validation or source of information of what is challenging those particular markets to change the trend, things like that, right? So it's much more strategical type of advice rather than the typical SEO 101 type of process that you can hire with whatever agency, right? So yes, I am a big believer of this because this is one of the things when I became independent, I realized that I didn't want it to be like a manager. I didn't want it to become a CEO. I love doing SEO. So I have tried to develop my career in a way and myself professionally in a way that allows me to keep doing it, right? So instead of becoming a manager of an agency of 20, 30 people, whatever, that will have at this point like their natural thing to do if I ended up like doing what everybody else will do, I prefer to keep things like more boutique, small, specialized, to be able myself to keep doing what I enjoy, while also giving me the freedom to have these projects, for example, that I so believe in, like, for example, the Remoters project, my books, etc. So I think that this is also a choice, like, and I am a big believer on not following like the default path that is followed by everybody, and being a little bit of more smart of how you grow, because there can be so many different ways to do it.
Yeah, I can relate to what you're saying, because with my previous agency, we got up to 6 million in revenue, and at that size, I had to focus on generating a deal flow and speaking at conferences and writing articles and so forth, writing books. I didn't have time to work with any clients. I didn't have any ability to just get involved with these interesting projects that I had sold and signed. So that was frustrating for me. And when I restructured into this new business, I decided I'm going to have a lifestyle business, and I'm going to work directly with the clients and not have account managers and going through multiple layers and having people assigned to a client who aren't that skilled at SEO.
It's important to have this self-knowledge, right? To understand what you actually enjoy, because a lot of people, and I have also met the other side of the coin, right? People saying, "Oh yes, I had to become a manager, right? Because I need to manage my team now rather than actually do what they love, whether content marketing, SEO, link building, or technical SEO, whatever." And some people, that's great for them because they do enjoy it, and it's how they continue growing their career. But for many others, they don't, right? And they are miserable until they find someone, a CEO or something like that, who they can delegate this stuff. And many of them are very lucky and find a good person to work with, but others, they are not, and they are stuck in this and this sort of like cycle. And for me, it's like life's too short for that, right? I don't want to be like miserable for a few years until that happens or something like that. Like they should be a much more straightforward way to have a happy life and develop yourself in a way that is beneficial for you at all levels, and it's about the net profit too, not the raw one at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's about profit. It's not about revenue. But here's the problem that I'm having, and maybe you can relate to this. It's very hard to get from 7 to 8 figures with this kind of a structure. It's hard to build a little kind of empire when you are the bottleneck. And
100%.
That's why I'm looking for a COO, because I'm tired of being the bottleneck and tired of turning away a lot of potential clients. And yeah, so I'm looking to do things a little differently and smarter, and be able to focus more in my unique ability, and not spend as much time on stuff that doesn't light me up.
Yeah, no, 100%. And you know what? This is funny, right? Because I actually have a hard time delegating, and potentially this is why I'm very careful with it too. Literally, because I also do enjoy doing many of these peripheral things that if I tell you, you will say, oh my God, Aleyda, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. So for example, my Crawling Mondays videos, I edit them myself. I do the whole thing myself. And a lot of people's like, oh my God, Aleyda, you can hire like a VA or whatever, like, and literally like they will do this like this. Oh my God, my issue is that I am like addicted to learn all of these tools, and I love it. I found this script, this tool the other day that is fantastic, so easy to use. I have been using Camtasia, so I love trying out new tools and doing all this stuff for me. And I think that the issue comes when you stop enjoying doing that and learning new things, right? That you do care about, right? So maybe if at some point, in a few months, I say, oh my God, this has become already boring. There isn't a purpose for me to learn about this anymore. I will delegate that. But since I am still learning, and it's something that actually allows me to test a lot of things for my own clients, and also to speak about YouTube SEO, for example, I keep doing it, and because this is how I test, I learn, and on things that actually I'm caring about. But yes, I completely hear you that at some point you need to identify when to delegate, right?
Yeah. Well, let's actually talk about YouTube SEO and YouTube's recommendation engine, and how to optimize for both of those, because I've been delving into that area myself and looking at tools like TubeBuddy and vidIQ, and optimizing and A/B testing thumbnails and video titles. Lots of really cool things that I hadn't been aware of before. So I'm sure you're still in the learning phase here with the YouTube optimization side of it. So what are a few of your favorite tools and techniques for YouTube optimization? Not just YouTube SEO, but then also the recommendation engine, and then what are you looking to learn, in the next months or year?
Yes. So, by the way, I actually, and potentially I will send the link later on so you can link to that. I also have this Google Sheets with all of the tools that I use for YouTube optimization, so everybody can go through them. Yes. So, for example, like the things that, for example, Canva offers like a free thumbnail generator that allows you to easily like generate like a really nice thumbnail. In order to attract more clicks, to improve click-through rates, and do a little bit of A/B testing too, if you want, with TubeBuddy. Keywords everywhere, for example. We know keywords everywhere because of SEO, but it also supports YouTube data. And it's great to see trends over YouTube and YouTube search volumes too. So there are a group of tools that can Nox Indexer, for example, to be able to compare with the YouTube channels of your competitors and see what is working well for them or for the topics that you want also to cover. I feel like this too. I can definitely share. But in general, what I have learned with YouTube is that is about what I call the relevance, engagement, and retention. Right. So relevance is, and we as SEOs is pretty straightforward, right? Like that the terms, the keywords, the queries, that you want to rank for are included in the title, the description. You include them as tags to hashtags. So as much as possible that you can optimize your video with these terms, the best it will be. So that's very straightforward and the easiest thing to do. Then on the other hand, comes like the trickier part, I will say. And this is where I think most people get stuck because and when I compare it with SEO, I think of this digital link building side of YouTube, that in YouTube becomes pretty much community management. That is the engagement and retention, right? Engagement is about people liking your video, commenting on your video, sharing your video, and then retention is about making people to stay watching your whole video. And these are signals that will tell YouTube recommendation engine that people do care about your video and like what you're showing to them, and they have subscribed to your channel, so they will keep showing more and more videos for them. In the data that shared YouTube a year ago or so, they disclosed that it was, I think, 70% of their traffic or views to their videos were generated by the recommendation engine rather by spontaneous search from users or direct search from users, right? And as average, like a user will keep watching for 60 minutes after they recommended something. So what they really want is to keep the users engaged and keep offering them stuff that they know that they are going to like, right? Let's not discuss about how this can end up being dangerous, right? From a sort of like a bubble of topical self confirmation of sorts, right? That is a topic for another time. But
the filter, like a filter bubble, right?
Yeah, indeed. But then on the other hand, if you see all of the areas where YouTube keep referring you in the sidebar and the next video that they show, or in the homepage, the YouTube homepage, all of these are videos that they are recommending you because they have identified that you have watched already videos from that channel, and you have liked them, or that you have liked videos that are very similar in nature or in topic for those. So the key here is to understand what will make your users to be engaged and interact with your users. And then here's where community management comes a little bit handier, right? Like, ask your users to like the video or to keep watching or to keep them engaged. One of the typical errors and mistakes, and I did that for a little bit of time, was to start with a typical intro to my videos. No, like, don't waste their users' time. They need to start watching right away what you are able to show. Otherwise, they will leave after the first seconds, right, of watching not necessarily relevant information on your video. Ask them to like the video, or ask them to subscribe to the channel. Ask them to leave questions below in the comments, right, and to generate and develop a community. So, and this is a trickier part because community management is not so straightforward, right? And then it's about a little bit gaming or optimizing the recommendation engine, I will say. We know that, for example, after you publish the video, YouTube starts seeing, how many users will come and watch the video and for how long, etc. So what I try to do is, like, I publish a video, and as much as possible, I will share it with my network. I will try to also share it to my list of newsletter that is sent to these users that I consider to be like much more engaged with my content than whatever in social media, right? So to be able to refer and show YouTube that there are people caring about your video already in the first few hours, so they have the signals, they have the right signals to keep referring your video much more.
Right. So if you wait for 48 hours before starting to promote your new video that you've just published, you've destroyed the potential virality, or at least made it much harder for you to get a lot of momentum from YouTube's algorithm.
Yes, indeed, indeed. So, and this is the thing, right? Like, at the end of the day, you cannot expect that. This is what is a little bit harder with YouTube, I guess. Um, and even if we complain about SEO, about this in SEO, in other moments, in YouTube, I think is still very prominent. People see a lot of how many millions views do you have, how many million subscribers, all of these metrics that are not necessarily the final goal, because at the end of the day, for example, if you are you have a channel about project management related topics or SEO or digital marketing, there's only so much that you will end up getting with this sort of topics, right? There are few people who have amassed millions, but going a little bit more broader, right? But realistically, in my case, for example, I assess this as like, I don't want to be doing videos about SEO 101s or get 1 million in traffic in 3 months, these sort of things that will get viral quite quickly, right? It's not my thing. It's not my audience. It's not what I am known about. So I will keep doing videos about how to implement hreflang annotations, how to optimize for web performance. Now I am leveraging a little bit more my network, and I am doing a few Q&As regarding certain topics with other specialists. So that's great, because also I go out of my own network when the video is published, because they will refer to their own too, so that's good. But yes, I mean, there's only so much, and then what you need to establish, what's your goal with the video, right? Like what do you care about? Which are the metrics that are actually meaningful for you? And it's to establish your authority at the end of the day, or your brand, or is to bring more people to your newsletter, to your community, to your courses, to your whatever. So at the end of the day, it's about validating that a little bit, because otherwise, in my case, for example, I only have a few hundreds of views initially with my videos. But again, it's like, how many people care about feature snippets realistically out there in the world, right? So it's like, okay, it's not so bad then. But it allows me to fulfill many other goals tied with the videos, rather than pure numbers of views, right?
Yeah. So you have multiple channels, it looks like, because you have your Aleyda Solis channel on YouTube that doesn't really have a lot of
I don't have anything there. Don't have anything. It's really in the Crawling Mondays channel that I publish my videos, indeed. And,
so why did you start over like that?
Because I liked to have like something branded, something different, not Aleyda Solis follow me because of me, but Crawling Monday is something bigger, so it will give me like an umbrella to be able to do much more. I also like the name Crawling Mondays, and a few people though thought that I was going to speak only about crawling. No, but the Crawling Monday is like, how do you start Monday? By crawling through the week. No, it was supposed to be a little bit funny like that. But yeah, no, it's because I like that. Also, something that I have done with my YouTube channel that a lot of people should do too, also to generate the community side of things that I mentioned before, easily generate the videos are interviews, not the how-tos. That is harder because people actually need to see, right, to watch. But the ones that are interviews or Q&A, things like that, conversations, I generate them as podcasts easily with Anchor. This tool would you literally just drop the MP4 and they will generate it to podcast format and connect with most of the podcast platforms out there. And so you just need to publish it there, and it will become available at all in all podcast formats too. So it's very straightforward, is to easily repurpose the YouTube video, and which I actually highly recommend people to do. And this is what I do too. I publish to YouTube, and then I also take the videos and publish them in my own website as a blog post, right? And or embed the videos to the blog posts that I already have about those topics. And when I do that, I try to do this with Wistia rather than the YouTube embed, or at the beginning with the YouTube one, just to generate more views to YouTube. But after a while, after a few months, I switched to to Wistia, because Wistia will include automatically the video object, structured data, and then it is funny, and this is interesting, right? It will easily generate the video thumbnail for that page result in the SERPs on one hand, and then, funnily enough, and I believe that this is a bug, and at some point it will be fixed, very likely, but somehow Google still in Google search, right? There are more and more queries for search results for queries that you wouldn't think that are not only purely informational, that include the video carousel. It's important to mention this. When they include the video carousel, they will, and you are relevant and you have a relevant video, they will include your video from YouTube, and they can also include your video from Wistia, that is hosted in Wistia, and they won't even realize that it's the same video. So I have a few queries. I have the double dip in there with it is me twice in the carousel, with the videos from the different platforms. And then also, this is important, right? In the description of the video and the videos, if you want to leverage also the video to get a little bit of more traction from Google, leverage the timestamps and the video description and YouTube. You just need to add which are the different sections of your videos, and what are the times where people can see the different topics that you cover in the video. And this will be highlighted later on. These labels will be highlighted later on as key moments in mobile search results in Google when your video is included in that carousel, in the video carousel too. So it's a little bit of a win-win there.
Yeah, that's a nice tip. I like Wistia. I think they have some great features. Like one I don't know if you're utilizing, but I'd recommend if you're already using Wistia, is the turnstile capability. Are you familiar with that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So
no,
yeah. At 10 to 20% into the video, I would recommend putting a turnstile in there, which would have an opt-in. They have to put in their email address in order to continue watching it. If you put it at the end, nobody will bother. If you put it at the very beginning, you haven't whetted their appetite enough. So 10 to 20% in. So that's a feature that Vimeo doesn't have, that YouTube doesn't have.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I actually had seen that when publishing, like the option to add, like, I didn't know that it was called turnstile, but yes, to opt in to watch the video. But it seems like, so who will do this, right? But it makes complete sense what you mean, right? It's not to show it right at the start, because then nobody will do it, but allow the people to see like probably like half of the video, and for the rest you will require it. That's interesting. Yeah. That's nice.
So I've been using Wistia for years, and I just stopped. I just moved everything over to YouTube, and here's why. So you take this with a grain of salt. I mean, this is just my strategy. The reason I'm going to migrate everything, or in the process of migrating everything over, is so that I can get watch time on my YouTube channel, and because that's the goal. It's not views, it's watch time, right? But here's the thing: when you put an embedded video, like you put the player in your blog post, that doesn't count towards watch time. That doesn't help you with the algorithm. You have to get them onto your YouTube channel. So I will be putting animated GIFs of the little snippet of the video just to get them interested and visually interested. So they click, that leads them to the YouTube video. But here's the kind of the secret sauce here. And you can do this in your email newsletters too. I highly recommend it. Drive them to a playlist URL. So the first video is the video that you want them to watch, but then by adding &list equals and then whatever the playlist is, you're going to send them to a whole bunch of your videos, and probably they're going to binge watch and massively ramp up your watch time.
That is awesome. That is an awesome tip. What I try to do, something similar, right? This is the thing, I embed initially with YouTube. I have the videos in both, right? And when I initially embed, I do it in YouTube to generate this watch time at the start. when the video is being recommended a lot, and after a while, after a couple of months, is when I replace it with Wistia for
But here's the problem
data
though.
thing.
If you embed the video with the player, it doesn't count.
Oh, it doesn't count with the player.
It doesn't count. So you have to have an animated GIF that then goes to your playlist with the video that you want them to watch as the first one.
This is the first time that I hear that it doesn't count by embedding it. Are you sure? Have you tested this?
So
interesting.
Evan Carmichael was a recent guest, and he's got almost 400 million views. He's a huge YouTuber, and he knows this stuff inside and out. Like I used to think that YouTube tags were still worth doing, and he's like, nope, those are completely and utterly worthless. Don't waste your time. They're not part of the algorithm anymore.
Interesting. So this is the thing. I embedded at the beginning. I replace with Wistia after a while to get the structured data thing going on and have the pages highlighted. But then when I embedded the YouTube video during that time, what I did was to add a parameter and within the embed.
Yeah.
So when
like ampersand rel equals 0 or ampersand list equals, which one?
Well, I don't remember right now, but the equals 0 is when they click, they directly subscribe, they get the subscription option. But there is another option, so to stop recommending videos from other channels, only yours.
Oh yeah, that's right? Ampersand rel equals 0.
That is a 0, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So I did these two things. I added the parameter to keep recommending only your YouTube, your own videos on one hand, and then there is this other one linking to the other that I was talking about, when linking to your own videos, so the user will directly subscribe directly.
Ampersand sub _ confirmation.
You have a much better memory than I do. I do this stuff myself manually, and I'm like, what? Which I don't remember which is which. No, that is nice.
Yeah. So here's a tip for you. Change your. Well, first of all, I really think you should get rid of the embeds. Just have an animated GIF that they click on that goes to your YouTube video, but with a list parameter, so that they're going to get a whole bunch more of your videos. So here's a tip. If you're going to keep using the player and embed it, switch out from using ampersand rel equals 0 to recommending only your videos, to make it a playlist URL, so that the next video is exactly the next video you want them to watch. It's part of a playlist. Like, let's say you are wanting them to watch a whole bunch of videos about YouTube SEO, because the article is about YouTube SEO, and you've embedded the first video, like your best video about YouTube SEO, but you have 10 more. If you give them a ampersand list equals, they've got 9 other videos to watch, one after the other, of yours, all about YouTube SEO.
Yeah, indeed. You opened my mind with the playlist thing. I don't know how I hadn't thought about it. That is awesome. Thank you. But I come to be interviewed and share stuff, and then you end up sharing with me and learning from you. You're awesome, Stephan.
Oh, thanks. Oh, and there's one other thing that most people don't really know about, and that is to go to the view all uploads and capture the list URL, the list parameter for that, and use that one if you want to send people to your entire list of videos. So let's say that you are going to include in your newsletter, in your email newsletter, a link with like an animated GIF that goes to a particular YouTube video, and you want them to binge watch your entire channel. Use that list code.
You're killing me with the animated GIF. Oh my God. I highly dislike them. And this is funny, right? Because I see the animated GIF in the typical health or fitness websites, potentially because of this, because they want to send the user directly to YouTube at the end of the day. But oh my God, it kills me. Animated GIF is like,
well, then if you don't want to do that, just make it a still image. You'll get fewer clicks, but you'll still get clicks over. And it's just going to massively improve your watch time. And
I will test this. I will test this. It's
you
like
totally
Stephan
should.
tip.
Yeah.
Stephan tips. Well, there's one thing, right, about this topic. Also, if you're an SEO, right, and if you're not looking only to rank within YouTube SERPs, but also in Google ones, Run Ranger is a great tool because it allows you to connect your YouTube channel with your website and track the results in both, not only in YouTube SERPs for any query that you want, but also in Google within the carousel. And I love that they literally tell you in which position within the carousel in Google you are, and which of the players, and you see literally like how it fluctuates over time. And AccuRanker is another tool that is doing this and is really, really nice because yes, it provides also this YouTube oriented type of functionality, while you will tend to rather use them already for SEO. So it's like a win-win, another win-win all the way right there.
Awesome. Okay, well, we're out of time, but where do we send our listener to learn more from you, to work with you potentially? What's the best website?
Yes, well, aleydasolis.com is my own website, of course. They can go there, or Orainti. That is my consultancy website. And, well, I am very active over Twitter at Aleyda. They can also find me there. So, or just search for Aleyda. I am like the first result for myself.
Yay.
Yes, for my first name. Thankfully, I am not called Maria or something so much more common. But yes, funnily enough, I am the first one ranking for my own name organically. If you see the photos, sadly, there is this beauty queen from Puerto Rico that is called Aleyda Ortiz. Sadly, those photos are not from my body. Those are from her beauty pageant experience, I think. But yes, it's funny to see that, right? Because of course, since she was like a beauty pageant, whatever contestant, you see all the photos from her, many more than from me, of course, and much more popular than mine, realistically. But it is me on the organic SERPs, and it is her in the photo ones. Yeah, the
that's
image
funny.
ones.
Yeah. Funny. Okay, so thank you so much, Aleyda. This was great fun, and lots of great tips and strategies were shared. So thank you so much. And listener, please take some positive action and get out there and make a difference in the world through SEO and YouTube and all the stuff we talked about.